welcome to another cartoon commentary. This one is a very special one. The two I really wanted to do, ever since I started doing these, were the Transformers, the movie commentary, and the G.I. Joe, the movie commentary. And I have known two better men to walk into the mouth of hell with than the two gentlemen, good brothers, joining me tonight. Eric, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for having me.
And Joseph, how you doing tonight?
Great. Yo, Joe.
Yo, Joe. So it's a mixed bag, this one. It's not exactly as beloved as the Transformers animated movie. Even the biggest Joe fans remember this either bittersweet or not even that positively. But there's still plenty of good stuff here. And as I learned from doing the Masters of the Universe commentary with Eric, you can have a great time watching a crap movie. So
Perhaps a better time.
So I wouldn't call this a crap movie. It's always been a mixed bag for me. I love the G.I. Joe part of the movie. So we're going to have some fun here. So if you want to listen along with us, we've got the movie paused right now. It's the best place where we could find to pause it because there isn't really any sort of marker to pause it at. I've just pressed play on my Blu-ray. The DVDs are the same. And the Sunbow logo and Marvel logo are just about to come up. So what I'm looking at is the entire left side of my screen is taken up by a giant red or orange circle. So it's about to zoom in. And there's like a little bright sun or star up near the top of the screen. So we're paused there. I'm going to give you a countdown from 3. And on go, everyone press play. Everybody ready?
Ready.
3, 2, 1, go! Go Joe! Sunbow Productions and Marvel
that
Productions.
Sunbow logo.
And probably the best part of the movie for me.
Absolutely.
The amazing, like musical number almost.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
And maybe a reason why this movie is such a disappointment to so many Joe fans, because it peaks in the first 2 minutes.
You have to wonder if this was originally going to be like the climax of the film or something. It's just done so well.
Yeah,
you're right. That's a good point.
And maybe it should have been. Yeah, like an attack on the Statue of Liberty. We will destroy the symbol of liberty.
In the midst of a fireworks show, no less.
And a wild version of the theme that we've heard literally hundreds of times at the beginning of each episode.
Yep.
So I love the extra verse.
Punching the camera. That's a good one.
Yes.
Nothing says bad like punching a camera.
And the zoom in on Duke is just, he waits for the camera to zoom in on him, says his line, and then goes to work. Maximum drama. That's awesome. And they were, I guess, anticipating this attack. Because there's like 1,000 Skyhawks.
Yeah, they're all lined up.
Now, why is Cobra Commander the one with the bomb? Like,
he's leading by example.
For the first time ever. Like, for the purpose of the musical number, yeah, it's him. But you would think it would be Firefly.
Totally.
Or Storm Shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Snake Eyes.
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
Love
Stealing the trouble.
Yeah.
Beautiful. He doesn't get much screen time in this movie, but it's those little moments there that remind us why he's so awesome. Alpine on the fire bat. Yeah, there's so many great little moments here, and it's been a long time since I've watched this. So I just wanted to ask you guys or let the listeners know. Joseph, you recently watched this movie for the first time just a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And Eric, you haven't seen this in... How long?
I would guess at least 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I bought this DVD when it came out originally. That was like late 90s or 2000, something like that. And I want to say I watched it once since then.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's probably been a few years since I've seen it.
I remember this intro, though, so well because didn't it become the intro to the series for a while, right?
Maybe, like, this was the end of the series.
Yeah.
In terms of, there wasn't another 65 episodes put out after the movie, but when they were doing the reruns, I think they might have stuck it at the beginning.
Yeah.
of like the rerun episodes, because they did that for Transformers. They added the Power Master Optimus Prime live puppet or stop
Oh,
motion.
yeah.
So they might have done that, and just like it's moments like this
Yeah.
that make me say this isn't all bad. Like this is very cinematic, very beautiful cinematography. Look at this: the fish eats the bug, the gator eats
There's the fish.
Yeah, there's always
There's
a bigger
always
fish.
a bigger fish, Obi-Wan.
Burgess Meredith as Globulus. If only he had done the Mickey voice in this movie. You're gonna mortalize him. Sergeant Slaughter as Sergeant Slaughter.
It's perfect.
They should have just said as himself. Guess you can't say Bob Remus as Sergeant Slaughter. And there's the first hint. Story consultant Buzz Dixon. Our old pal Buzz, who is, he's the one that
Wishing
came up
his
with...
name wasn't attached.
Yeah. He came up with Cobra-la-la by accident.
Surprised I don't see any Alan Smithy credits in there.
Yeah. And what I learned from my chat with Buzz on the channel a while back was he just kind of threw that out as, kind of a Shangri-La thing, and they loved it. And that taught him, don't ever just throw an idea out. Like, give your idea you want to do. Don't give like an alternate contingency that you're not that passionate about, because they will go with it.
They chose it.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say I used to do a thing whenever I'd be getting work approved or go over things with clients, where I would throw in what I called the ringer, which was the one that was obviously bad, to try to steer them toward the one that I wanted. But there were so many times that, like you just said, they'd pick the one that you really didn't want to go with.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened here.
Quickly learned not to do that.
And Serpentor, I was fine with Serpentor because he was very sci-fi, the whole DNA assembling. But I love the idea of creating a new warrior out of the DNA of warriors from history. That was a cool idea.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Cobra-la wasn't that. Cobra-la was a bunch of weird mutant freaks. And I was actually thinking about it, talking about it with my wife today. What went so wrong with this movie, like the villains?
Yeah.
And what went wrong is you got army versus terrorists, which is a great formula. Counter terrorists versus terrorists. And what they did with this movie was they got rid of the terrorists and said your villains are freaks from basically deep in the earth. And that's Inhumanoids villains. Mm-hmm. So if you think of it like an Inhumanoids crossover, okay, that's fine, but it's not G.I. Joe.
It's almost a shame that they didn't do that, the Inhumans crossover for the film.
Yeah, I wonder if, because Inhumanoids was the same year, and Buzz worked on that along with some of the other Sunbow people. So I wonder if Inhumanoids was influencing this script. Like they were getting into the whole groove of weird, organic, creepy monsters and said, well, that's the trend. Let's just stick that in G.I. Joe 2. Sort of did that with Transformers as well. Not to the creepy monster extent, but they had headmasters coming in, target masters.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was the bio-organic craze or trend.
Well, the other thing I think in the movie, they introduced Unicron and Transformers the movie, but it felt like it was part of that storyline. It felt like it belonged. Yeah, it's that with the weird mutant, underlord kind of thing. It just didn't really fit in anywhere. It was really bizarre.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought of it that way. But Unicron is a giant Inhumanoid.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same idea. I like Pythona's introduction. Just because we don't know yet she's a weird mutant freak. She's just some kind of ninja type of character.
And that's what I first thought she was. I was like, oh, cool. Some kind of Cobra ninja they never made or something.
Yeah. There's so many what ifs and what could have beens in this movie.
Yep.
Imagine if Pythona at the beginning had been a member of the Arashikage ninja clan. And this whole movie was about basically taking Larry Hama's what he was doing with the comic, and instead of Cobra-la, the whole idea was the ninjas, Storm Shadow's clan, going into the backstory of Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes, the Blind Master, the Hard Master, all that stuff. But there was, I don't think the writers were wanting to just do Larry's story, because Larry certainly didn't want to do their stories. You know, it was kind of separated.
Well, it's a shame too, because with the ninja angle and the whole Snake Eyes angle, I mean, it would be hard to have a kind of a main character that didn't talk at all. But he was also the perfect audience surrogate, because since he doesn't talk, you know, there's that element to him. Since he's masked, it's like he could be anybody. You know, it's
Exactly.
Like yeah, you could kind of fantasize that he's you.
That's you.
You know,
Yeah.
Exactly. That's kind of what I felt like in the Ghostbusters video game that came out a few years ago, and they're remastering it now. He's the, and there's our first hint at bioorganic weirdness, the spores, gas. But in the Ghostbusters game, you play the recruit and you never say a word, and you're just hanging out with these legends, these Ghostbusters, and they make it a point to tell you, don't tell us your name, because you know what happened to the last guy. We don't want to get too attached. So that would have been perfect. And plus, you get to know the other people a lot better with how they interact with Snake Eyes. I mean, in the comics, Storm Shadow, Stalker, and Scarlet, a lot of their best dialogue is talking to or around Snake Eyes.
Exactly. Yep.
This is Transformers music, I believe. They shared a lot of music between the two shows.
I thought I'd heard it before. Okay.
It sounds like season 3, like the Rodimus Prime era show music to me. Great animation here. It's not like off the charts, beautiful, amazing, but there's definitely like the fluidness, the movement, the choreography, the head leaving a dent in the wall.
Right.
Yeah. There's some nice visuals.
Got obviously a lot higher frame rate and everything than the series, the regular Sunbow series. Yeah.
It looks nice on Blu-ray too. Not.
I need to pick that series. Is it widescreen on Blu-ray or is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, 16:9, so that's nice too. It's not 4K style thing, because it was never intended to be.
No.
It was intended to be, well, I guess it was originally done for a theater screen, and they changed their minds on that with how unsuccessful Transformers had been. But it still looks, on a big screen TV, it looks beautiful. Just a tiny bit of grain, but
yeah.
That's
the
fun.
DVD I've got is like 4:3, and it's from how I remember watching it originally. So.
Yeah, the 5-parter on TV.
Yeah.
And I like that Serpentor he's doing all of this cheesy, cowardly stuff, and then when he's cornered, he does get up, and he's like, okay, he remembers his DNA. This was weird. This whole being able to turn his snakes into spears.
Yeah, that's really strange.
Since he had never done it in the show before. And that's Dick Guachier as the voice of Serpentor, also the voice of Rodimus Prime over on the Transformers cartoon.
Okay.
Well, I love how he's got this moment of like recognition, like, oh, I know you.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen his genesis. We saw how he was created. I mean, there's no time where they ever alluded to anything other than the genetic gene pool that he's from.
There's the one dream that Mindbender has about the DNA coil. He just has this random dream, and that's where he comes up with the idea. So in the movie, they say, "We put that in your brain. You're an idiot. You think it just came to you naturally? Like, no, we implanted that." And that does make sense to me. But it's not a so it doesn't seem like a retcon. It seems like, oh my God, they had that plan.
I love that scene. You see where Flint's macking on Lady J.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is another great part of the movie. So when I have fond memories of the movie, I think of the BET sequence at the beginning.
Absolutely.
Like the Joes in the Arctic, one of my favorite settings for G.I. Joe, since I grew up playing outside with G.I. Joe for a lot of winters. And it's just a simple formula, but I love it. We've got this thing, the MacGuffin, and we have to defend it. Not the MacGuffin device. that was an actual thing, but I don't know if you remember, Eric, there was an episode called the MacGuffin device.
I do.
It's the one where Shipwreck tells the story of the hamburger mine.
That's right.
Of course, I was well into adulthood before I actually understood that joke. So.
Yeah.
The Hitchcock reference. There's Quick Kick
Yeah.
and Snake Eyes giving a high five. That's kind of cool. You don't see
I like
those.
that. They're actually wearing, Arctic weather clothing.
It was brutal in the cartoon when they introduced Quick Kick and he's just bare-chested and barefooted.
Exactly.
And they're like, well, unfortunately, we have to introduce this barefooted, bare-chested guy in the Arctic. And we can't let you see him for the first time in a jacket. He has to look like his toy. Now that's an invasion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the worst vehicle to drive in the Arctic. The Stun.
And then the Dreadnoks roll in on bikes. I don't know how they do that. I've ridden in the snow on a motorcycle. It's scary.
I really like that Snowjob gets a moment here, though. I think it's here, or maybe it's later. He's on top
there
of
he is. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Quick Kick's got boots and a jacket, so he's learned his lesson. Frozen fudgies, what a treat. Yeah, so Snowjob, one of the original Joes, or near, like he was in the Mass Device 5-parter.
Yeah.
Cool that he gets a little moment here. So it wasn't all about just push the new figures.
No, it wasn't.
And it's also nice that, in Transformers, they killed off most of the first line of toys, whereas in G.I. Joe, the guys just get their chance to do something and they're not killed off en masse.
Now, what I'm wondering is, Transformers, the movie, got so much flack over killing so many of the characters. How many of these characters do you just not see later? I wonder if they had scenes where some of them died that they just cut out.
That's interesting. Yeah, because we've only ever heard of Duke, and that got changed. But it makes you wonder, like, is Zap taking a bullet to the head somewhere in this scene in the storyboards?
Right. Yeah. Right. Although I think G.I. Joe differed a little bit because didn't they sell all the older figures for quite a long time, right? They never yanked them out of the store, right?
It was either repaints like Tiger Force or Slaughter's Marauders, or they just give them straight up new outfit like Arctic Stalker and Snake Eyes version 2 and 3.
Yeah. Because I know, like with Transformers, one of the reasons they did that with so many of the bots was they were getting out from under the licensed vehicles and all the licensing fees. They had to pay for a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Love the dialogue here. Snowjob, man with a problem. It's just such a great brotherhood of Joes. Those are the moments I love the most in this movie. You can't stop Duke. Just literally just grunts off, sneers off a shot to the arm. And this is awesome. This little one-on-one, because they never really interacted much in the series, but this is harkening forward, foreshadowing that near the end of the movie where Falcon has the same type of one-on-one with Serpentor. But it's one of the weaker parts, like to have Falcon go for revenge for his half-brother. It's just too much being sprung on us. Like, we didn't know that Falcon was Duke's half-brother, so that's...
Exactly.
There's no real history there, and there's no history between Duke and Serpentor either. Transformers, there's history between Megatron and Optimus.
Yes.
So it's just a little on the rushed side.
Interestingly, didn't they try to build some of that history into the G.I. Joe movie that came out, what was it, fairly recently, right? God, when did that movie come out?
Rise of Cobra?
Yeah, Rise of Cobra. They tried to what Cobra Commander was Duke's brother-in-law or something like that.
Yeah. Or buddies
kind of forced.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't mess with what brought you to the dance. I would love to see sort of an amalgamation between the cartoon and the comic. Take the best parts of both.
It's kind of interesting. I just noted that they put a lot of emphasis on the pack rats in this movie, and those were
old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got a lot of screen time, really, for as old as they were at this point.
Great little fight between Duke and Serpentor owns him as he should. He's just physically superior, but Duke outsmarts him with the old Kirk roll, or the Kirk monkey flip. The old monkey flip into the BET. And what does Cobra Commander do with his first moment of basically retaking command while Serpentor is incapacitated? Retreat! And this is part of the we can find sanctuary. I know where. Like, I wish you would have hung a left instead of a right.
Not even gone down that rabbit hole.
Could have been a much different movie. Yeah, he's fried, but he's dangerous. I like how Duke is putting the gun on him.
Keeping him covered.
Great snow effect, too.
Yeah.
And we're almost to the end of the best parts of the movie.
And that was Dusty in a dune buggy in the Ostriker.
Yeah.
The desert trooper in the dune buggy. Gotta sell those toys.
And we didn't see a single snowcat, did we?
I don't think we did. It was all Havocs.
Pretty auspicious omission there.
That is weird to see the pack rats, but not the snowcats.
Right.
What is up with that?
We had more inventory of the pack rats or something trying to.
And there's a snow serpent finally.
That is I think we might see the snowcats later on, though.
I can't remember. I think so.
Yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes on that. I don't think we'll see any polar battle bears, though. Like, that is weird. That's part of the Hasbro, we got to sell this edict stuff coming in rather than practicality. You're kind of at the will of whatever the new product or recent product is. Except for the pack rats. That is one of the most, that's even more bizarre than Cobra-la-la to me. Like, what's with all it's like they found a stockpile of them in a lost corner of the flag.
Yeah. I'm sure getting mileage out of the Havoc.
So when I always think of the new figures that were debuted in the movie, I think of the Rawhides, like the new Joes, the trainees, and Slaughter's Renegades, and the Cobra-la guys. But here's one I always forget: Roadblock. So Roadblock got a new outfit this year, and they give him his new outfit in this movie. I never really noticed it because Roadblock's just always been around. But when we see him, he's in his... Or is that that's the 86 outfit. Oh, okay, so sorry. I stand
version
corrected.
2, right?
He had already had that outfit in 86.
There's Dusty again in Shipwreck.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that everyone's wearing proper winter gear here.
Yes.
And a little more screen time for Snow Job.
Yeah.
Someone must have really pushed for the Arctic Trooper to have some scenes in the Arctic.
I'm a fan, giving the ginger his due credit once in a while.
Yeah. He's rolling right through them all. And a great line.
He's going after Cobra Commander.
But now we get our first look at Nemesis Enforcer, who can pick up a Havoc. He's got those deadly forearm blades. Yeah, and this is...
pulls him through the bottom.
Just wrecks him.
Buzzer in the fur vest.
Yeah. Now, the Cobra-la guys aren't even dressed for winter. But I guess they have...
That just backhands him. So we all wanted to do at one point or another, right?
He's such a whipping boy. It's funny, he really is the Starscream of G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Fitting, since he's voiced by Chris Latta also.
Exactly.
So he brings them here, and then he realizes, this was a mistake.
Yeah.
And that's just another thing that bothers me. Like, he brought them here, and now he's screaming and running away. Oh no, this is wrong. It's just dumb.
It is.
Yeah, I get that sinking feeling. I don't know about you, Eric, but all over again. Like, what is happening to the ruthless terrorist organization?
At least Cobra Commander. I mean, it kind of alludes to this idea that he's got a history with them. But I don't think it really. It doesn't really ever say it explicitly, right? I mean, it just kind of dances around this sort of vague.
No,
they do.
It does.
Oh, do they?
They
Okay.
do.
Yep.
They leave nothing to the imagination.
That's right. They don't at all.
Wow. That's a big jewel.
Levy wants to steal it already.
Yep.
Yeah. That thing is so big, it'll pay the Dreadnoks off for at least 3 weeks. Just love Duke. He's so intense. Quiet intensity.
General Hawk has a jet plane lamp.
Yeah, he does.
I just noticed that. That's awesome.
And Hawk with the dark brown, almost black. It looks black. Black hair.
Yeah.
Blonde in the comics.
I actually like these moments where they at least touch on some idea of military hierarchy. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then you got Lifeline and Iceberg in the same room.
Yeah.
Like, why are they there?
There were episodes where all of a sudden Wild Bill seems to be in command of the op. Like it just why? But I like that generally it's Duke, Flint, and Hawk, and Beachhead too. Beachhead I've always called him Sergeant Slaughter Light.
Yeah.
Love this scene. Now, is Snake Eyes Chuckles? There's that fan theory.
Start that argument right here.
Have they ever been seen
training again?
Have they ever been seen in the same place at the same time?
The only thing we came up with was the fact that Snake Eyes was in the end of this movie.
Right.
But Chuckles was there too, if I remember right.
Yeah, but we don't know who was in the Snake Eyes outfit.
That's right. We thought it could be someone else, like Grunt. Grunt was in Snake Eyes' outfit.
Keeping the rouge going.
Yeah. Grunt.
Grunt needs some love. That poor guy.
Yeah, he wasn't featured very much.
No.
Now, did they ever make a figure of Big Lob here?
Not in the initial run, but the Collectors Club did a old O-ring style version, like a 3 3/4, a few years ago. And then, well, I guess more than a few years ago. And then just a few years ago, maybe last year, an anniversary, like modern style Big Lob. So they have, in the last 10 years, done Big Lob. It was really, really bizarre to me to have this guy featured so much in the movie and no figure.
Yeah, he was so prominent, and you just never got a toy. It was kind of weird.
And cool. Like, it wasn't just, he's sort of in the background like Chuckles. It'd be one thing if they didn't make a figure of Chuckles. Like, okay, he didn't say anything. He didn't do much. But Big Lob is cool. He's kind of like Roadblock. Or Gung Ho. He's just like this loud, boisterous, he's kind of Blaster from Transformers. Or Quick Kick. With the quotes all the time.
Love how he's calling his plays.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but did you ever hear stories from friends? I saw Big Lob at the store. Did you ever get those?
Not specifically, but I used to have a friend that used to swear that he saw RC at toy stores, and it was always like, really? Because I'm going to go down and look. He's like, yeah, it's there, it's there, and it's of course it wasn't because they never actually made it, but he'd swear up and down that he saw RC at toy stores.
Yeah, I had a friend who swore he saw Big Lob, couldn't buy him because didn't have the money, but saw him, and I said they didn't make him. And there was no internet to double check that, but I just went by the back of the card. Like, there is no Big Lob picture on the back of the card. That's who we're getting. That's who we've gotten since '82, and we're not getting a Big Lob. And he swore he saw him, and I said, well, I don't know if you are just making that up or if you're remembering wrong. Because sometimes, like, if you really, really wanted a figure, sometimes you saw it even if it wasn't there.
Yeah.
So he might have seen Tunnel Rat and thought, "Oh, Big Lob."
Yeah, something like that.
Like the child.
Or was it a bazooka? Or what was the guy with the law?
Oh, that's probably what it was. He might have seen it from a distance and thought bazooka was Big Lob. Jersey, that's probably what it was. And The newest canine added to the unit is Order. Some of these training exercises are really dangerous.
Yeah. Live explosives.
So I get that it's hard to be a Joe, but like I wonder how many people they lose doing these, like either killed or maimed.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do. I know it's supposed to be funny, but you can't do stuff like that. I mean, that's like a bomb seconds from going off, and you can't raise the stakes for a little joke sequence like that. It does damage to the rest of the story. That's what I believe.
It's true.
Yeah. Ha ha ha! Live fire exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah. The same thing happens with Chuckles throwing a missile. Like,
I know.
what is happening here? It's not just the weirdness on the Cobra-la side. It's weird things going on the Joe side too. Like just doing this.
I just caught why he has to throw it. I didn't catch it before, but it said misfire on the computer screen.
Oh.
I was always like, why didn't he just? I don't get it. No, I just saw it said misfire.
Not only could
heads-up display.
Not only could he pick it up, he launched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that was kind of a Snake Eyes style of salute. A weird choice. I thought Chuckles was going to be like a really fun, Chuckles.
Exactly. Yeah.
He could have been a cool Magnum PI style of character, but they just made him mute for some weird reason.
Snake Eyes. Further proof.
Speaking of highly trained ninjas, Jinx is not one. And Beachhead makes pretty short work of her. You'd think she'd be able to handle him after having some Arashikage training, but nope. Just easily dispatches of her until she evens the playing field by putting on a blindfold. Now, there is a little bit of mention here to the Arashikage clan. The Blind Ninja Master is Blind Master from the comics.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And here's one of Joseph's favorite parts of the movie. And Don Johnson.
Well, if you want swagger in a character, that's it.
Yeah. Getting dressed down by a sergeant.
Yeah.
In front of the babe.
Yeah.
Mellow out.
Undisciplined Green Beret. Yeah. I'll second Tony on that. That seems particularly unbelievable.
It's just unrealistic in so many ways.
I don't think I've ever seen Duke this angry. And that's a horrible way to introduce your basically main character of the movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's
That's one of those things I never understand when movies do that, when they'll deliberately make a character unlikable. It was like what was it? It was a Green Lantern, I think, with the Ryan Reynolds one, where they just make him just such a douche. I mean, it was impossible to like that character.
Yep.
That was even the thing with Transformers. The movie was, even though Hot Rod was sort of the I guess the young hot-headed one, they never actually made it to where you didn't like the character. He always showed some degree of competence. Even in the beginning scene where he sees the ship coming into the hole in it, and he doesn't even hesitate and starts firing it. It's whereas Falcon just it's like you don't even like him.
He's a screw up. Yeah, that's a great. That'd be an interesting thing to do. Just break down the differences, pros and cons between Hot Rod and Falcon, because they're fast and free and young and brash, but Hot Rod is just brave and he means well. He's a good lad. Whereas Falcon is just a screw up over and over and over again.
Well, I never had a problem with Hot Rod. Like I never understood why people had such an issue with him. I mean, till I started getting more of their opinions, but because he was likable, I thought he was likable.
Yeah.
But this guy, he's just
Yeah, not a fan of Falcon, and that's not something I was really aware of until I started talking about it with Joseph a little bit, and just realizing that there were things that bothered me, but I didn't know why, and just doing the deep dive analysis of the script, and I just realized that Falcon is just an idiot.
Yeah,
he's the biggest waste of a Joe.
Exactly.
I mean, sorry to the Falcon fans out there. I am a Falcon fan, which is kind of weird because I love the figure.
The figure is awesome.
Everybody agrees, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to Carson, one of the biggest Falcon fans out there. This character in this movie didn't do that figure justice and didn't do the Green Berets justice. This guy ain't no Green Beret.
Nope.
Oh, the unforgivable slap to the behind.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, Joseph, you brought up. That's kind of irredeemable. That's really not behavior becoming a Joe, a Green Beret, a soldier.
Yeah. Outward misogyny, I guess.
Exactly.
And not even on, some girl you'd pick up at a bar. We're talking a teammate, a team member.
A fellow.
Yeah, it's like, come on.
Who's wrenching on something, working on it, and you come up and smack her like that. I mean, ugh.
Yeah.
Repulsive.
Yeah, somebody call HR. Although I will say that I did like the scene where he's explaining all these ways that there's no way anybody could break it. Yeah. This is all the stuff they'd have to do, and it shows them doing those very things. Yeah.
And this is just even worse for Falcon because he's talking about how great they are. It's not just unlikely, it's impossible. While these guys are getting destroyed. Well, not yet destroyed, but and another thing, like seeing Gung Ho, we haven't seen it yet, but how easily all three of these guys are dispatched by Nemesis Enforcer is just, it's kind of like watching those old favorite Autobots get destroyed in the movie, get killed. It sucks. This really sucks. Like, poor Gung Ho. Bazooka, whacks him with the cannon, shoot him with it.
Yeah.
Keep splicing. But the one redeeming thing about that whole thing is they got the job done. The mission was splice the circuit, get the alarm going, and they did it.
Hey guys, do you hear me?
Hey.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yay.
Hey, how's it going?
We've got a new.
I'm fine. I just misunderstood the whole thing.
new recruit Fun Toys fan has joined us. You don't actually have the movie playing, right? But you can chime in and share your thoughts
actually,
on what we're seeing.
I'm watching a Deutsch version on YouTube.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
So
well, if you want to sync up with us, we're 37 minutes in right now. 37 minutes and about 30 seconds, somewhere around there.
Okay, I'm there.
Beautiful. So a couple minutes ago, we had Duke dressing down Falcon, telling us what a screw-up he is. Now we've got General Hawk dressing him down, telling us what a screw-up he is. I think it's too much damage done to a brand new character.
Totally.
It's just, that doesn't happen to Hot Rod, to compare this with Transformers again. Hot Rod doesn't get dressed down by Optimus, even though like a lot of people blame Hot Rod for Optimus's death. Optimus doesn't.
No.
Optimus never dresses down Hot Rod. He doesn't say, "You idiot, why were you in the way? You should have." Cup doesn't dress him down. Like, they all look at Hot Rod and go, "Well, he means well. Like, he's not a screw up. He's just, he's young, but he means well." And the ultimate stamp of approval for Hot Rod is at the end, where Optimus endorses him, Arise Rodimus Prime. And I love that little line by Cup: "I knew you had potential, lad." That means, like, I always believed in you. But in this movie, everyone is just telling Falcon, "You're a screw up. You suck. You don't know what you're doing."
Well, he's so grossly arrogant.
Yes.
Even Hot Rod had he was perhaps overconfident, but I would stop shy of calling him like an arrogant character.
Yeah.
He definitely was not arrogant.
Yeah, he's just a good lad.
Yeah, he's just inexperienced.
Maybe brash, but not arrogant.
Yeah.
Right.
The what is that? A roach carpet?
A roach carpet.
And another thing that doesn't sit right with me: the great mighty Serpentor, created from the DNA of the greatest warriors throughout history, kneeling in front of Mickey from Rocky. He's brand new, and Serpentor's kneeling in front of him, and it just felt like, okay, I guess he's supposed to be a big deal, but I don't know. I prefer different ways of showing someone be a big deal. Unicron ate a planet.
Yeah.
That's how they quickly established to us he's a big deal. And then he went on and he ate 2 of Cybertron's moons. That makes him seem like a big deal. This guy is just... he talks a lot.
Yeah.
He's got a creepy
He just kind of shows up.
like, the biggest thing he has going for him is he's creepy.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a floating pod. He looks really weird. Got a green arm.
The one thing I will give Cobra-la, as far as I don't know, I guess a compliment, if you will, is the design of these things. They contrasted well in an interesting way with G.I. Joe. I mean, whether or not it actually fit with any of the lore or was appropriate was one thing, but it was pretty interesting kind of visual direction with that, creating something that contrasted so starkly with Cobra.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Very beautiful design. The background in it, background art.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, very H.R. Giger-esque. Would have been amazing if it was Earth Core from Inhumanoids,
right?
Rolling into there in the Trapeur.
Or imagine if like G.I. Joe calls them in as specialists for the stuff, and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Yeah, like a crossover. That would have been interesting. Is that Admiral Ledger there?
That's what I thought. It was Admiral Ledger.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's another weird thing about this movie. You would think that being the movie, the biggest G.I. Joe episode movie, they'd have the biggest G.I. Joe playset, and the flag is nowhere to be seen, even though we get a blink and you miss him cameo from Admiral Ledger. And it's also a shame that we didn't get the Defiant, which came out the same year as this movie, in this movie either. You'd think that they were developing it enough in advance that it could have appeared in this movie.
I'm seeing a lot of stuff that I never seen before. It's just this movie never. I think it never was in theaters here in Argentina, and definitely never in the TV. So that's why I never got to see the movie.
Yeah, one of my least, I'll say, most hated lines of the whole movie: "I'm an officer and I'm pulling rank."
Yep.
Again, it's just a sinking. You're in quicksand with this Falcon guy. He's just a prick, and it never, it just never stops.
No.
Now he's going to get his
to the
butt
slaughterhouse
or the Slammer House in the UK. Since
That's right.
Shout out to Tony from Analog Toys. Here's another, man, I guess it sounds like I'm complaining a lot about this. I'm just pointing out things that could have been changed to make it better. But so we got Cobra Commander as the leader of Cobra, and then this Serpentor guy comes out of nowhere and usurps him. And okay, I guess that's what they want to do. They have a new leader. And then they did it again. So now Globulus is the new guy in charge. So even Serpentor isn't really in charge of this whole thing anymore.
Yep.
It's too much. Like, just
It is too much.
I guess they were doing it on the Joe side as well, because Duke was the leader, and then, well, when Flint came in, he made it clear he was under Duke in the chain of command. But then Hawk comes in, and the nice thing about that, though, is Hawk wasn't the field commander usually.
Right.
He usually was, like, at the headquarters, and it was Flint and Duke doing the missions. But this, to me, is just... it's like we got a new villain leader every year.
Oh, I see. So they are showing. Like, I forgot this entire section here. This backstory.
Well, it's forgettable, so I understand.
Conveniently blocked most of this movie from my memory.
It's interesting seeing them, like, just watching the evolution of humanity throughout the years. While, like, they were watching humanity come up with all this amazing technology while they sat there on cockroach carpets and played with bugs.
Yeah.
They just waited. It's I don't know. It's a weird...
It's definitely very weak.
The spores. So this is totally demystifying Cobra Commander. Now we get to see...
Oh, I totally forgot this.
Yeah.
Okay, so now Cobra Commander is turning into like kind of a snake buddy guy.
You got it.
Okay, so okay. I know where you are now.
Well, he just had the spores spray in his face, and he got a bunch of eyes. So he's not being mutated yet.
Okay. I know where you are.
It's the scene where they're going through history.
Yeah.
So
I see now.
guess this scene contrasts Falcon's trial. Now it's Cobra Commander's trial, and I believe Cobra Commander's a screw up. But the weird thing is, I'm watching this going, no, like, why do I feel bad for Cobra Commander?
I know.
This is wrong.
I'm the same way. Yep.
It's like a face turn in wrestling, baby face turn.
Well, I think they're literally dehumanizing this character, which is the really interesting part. It's like, whenever I used to watch the show, you assume he's wearing the mask for a reason, if not just concealing his identity. But you kind of create this backstory with his character if you don't know it, and assume that he was some, leader of some small country that got money and power and decided he was going to start this movement, or something like that. But to actually literally dehumanize him into this just kind of pathetic creature is just it's just really a letdown. It kind of subverting expectations in all the wrong ways, if you will.
Subverting
Did you like the backstory of Cobra Commander in the movie, for example?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. No, me neither.
Not at all. It's I prefer the comic one where he's kind of like this shyster who kind of started Cobra as a pyramid scheme and just fell into this terrorist organization as a profit searching venture. Having him be this weird mutant thing who... there is one quick mention in one of the previous episodes where he's eating without the mask on, and we don't
Dester walks in on him.
Yeah, he's like, he makes mention of how disgusting it looks.
Yeah.
So there was a mention of him having some sort of disfigurement, which I guess it's consistent, having a bunch of eyes all over your head.
You know what it reminds me of? I read an interview a long time ago. I can't even remember where it was now. It was in some magazine. It might have been in a book or something. But one of the big fallouts, I think it was might have been Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, was when they were talking about possibly unmasking Dr. Doom. And the big argument was that, this whole idea that he wears this mask because he's disfigured, but then he takes the mask off and they show him and he's just got one very small scar on his cheek or something like that. And the idea is that he's so vain that he thinks it's just this horrible thing. I just always thought that was a powerful idea of really it's just pure vanity that keeps these guys masks and not like some practicality.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that idea.
I do too.
I remember watching this and going, wait a second, why did the spores affect him? He's got the mask on. Shouldn't the mask have...
Yeah.
100% just all for visuals.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're there. When the guy with wings is picking him up.
Yep.
From the,
Yep.
Cool. Yeah. Now we're in sync.
Taking
I'm
him
sorry.
away and gonna dump him like a piece of garbage. And
Yeah.
that was we've talked about it in a previous roundtable on Patreon. Fate worse than death. Like him getting turned into this slowly mutating. It's supposed to be dramatic tension for, we don't want this to happen to all of humanity. So they had to show you an example of what everyone is in store for with these spores. But I just hate that they did it to Cobra Commander.
Yeah.
Like you wanted him to get his comeuppance, but that's I don't know.
Could have just as easily shown everybody like a rat in a cage or something like that, and sprayed these spores in there.
It probably would have been a bigger uproar doing it to innocent animals than Cobra Commander, though. It kind of reminds me of Baxter Stockman in the Turtles cartoon. He kind of got the short end of the stick too, with getting turned into a fly mutant, and then wasn't he like put out of sync in time? He was like 1 second out of sync, so he became see-through and couldn't touch anything. Just horrible. Slaughter's Renegades are awesome.
They're the best. The best part of this movie.
The G.I. Joe's version of Dreadnoks.
Right.
And they got American flags. You gotta love that. The Patriots. Except I don't think Mercer has an American flag. He sounds English.
Yeah, English Australian or something like that. And then they never made figures of these guys either, right? I mean, eventually, I'm sure they did at some point.
Yeah, they did.
They did.
Three pack.
Yeah, they did.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
3-pack, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did.
So there were two 3-packs that were released in '87. A 3-pack of Slaughter's Renegades and a 3-pack of Cobra-la. So Galobulus, Nemesis Enforcer, and a Cobra-la Trooper.
Okay.
And there was a vehicle, right? Also for the Renegades.
No, I don't think so. No,
Slaughter didn't have
that came out.
I have the tank.
That came out in '86.
Ah, okay.
That was Slaughter's Triple T tank. So
No, I have that one. But then they have like a green kind of a...
Yeah, that was later.
Yeah, that.
That was from the Slaughter's Marauders line a while later. And Taurus doesn't have an American accent either, but he's got an American flag on his arm as well.
You should listen while I'm listening.
He spits on a scorpion. It's amazing. And for anyone out there who wants a custom club for your Red Dog, just grab one of the missiles from Salvo. It looks exactly like what he's using.
It does. You're right.
The Taurus cuts his thumb. Even these roughnecks hate this guy, and they've only known him like 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Like he's such an unlikable character. Poor Don Johnson. I'm still hoping Don starts showing up to Joe Fests, dressed up in the camo and the green beret. Hey guys, I'm Falcon. Handkerchief around his neck. Well, at least we get to see him do something physical there, like running. I'm assuming he has good conditioning if he's a green beret.
I'm just looking up the figures. The re-release that Big Bad Toy Store did. Man, those are some nice looking figures of the Slaughter's Marauders.
Yeah.
They have the whole set.
It's weird to see Snake Eyes in here. You'd think that he would figure out all by himself how to get out of here. And
Yes, I agree.
I mean, they got Snake Eyes and Quick Kick.
Yeah.
So that was another thing. Just all these little things that just peppered throughout the whole movie that don't make sense. Shipwreck should be able to, just by his idiot savant, always comes out ahead, uncanny ability to get out of weird situations.
Well, just thinking back to the series, how many times were they all captured at some point and easily escaped? You know?
Many times.
And they can't get out of this? Like,
Yeah, and you chalk it up to. I hate to say it because I like so many of the writers on this show, but it's not a strong writing choice. We got to have them all cocooned so that the new figures can save them. I like that the Joe that Cobra Commander joins up with to get out of here. Well, Snake Eyes gets a moment with his sword, and then nothing.
And Vines.
And we don't see him again.
But I like that Cobra Commander's scenes while he's devolving are with Roadblock, one of the more well-known Joes, and not cross country. Like it makes sense that it would be with an old rival.
That's right.
Because Roadblock and Gung Ho are the two I think of that always wanted to pound this guy's face in.
Yep.
Roadblock talking in rhyme again. Great voice too. Amazing.
This way.
That's a lot of eyeballs to turn inside out too. Doesn't he have like 40 eyeballs or something? And they've added a bit of an echo to Galobulus's voice, I just noticed. Give him that ethereal He-Man quality.
Nothing says evil like reverb, right?
Used to do that a lot on Masters of the Universe. Oh, I love... It's a quick moment, but I love that Roadblock was able to parry and dispatch of this guy just for a moment, even though he's blind. Because it seems like they don't get to do much in this movie. Like Gung Ho got thrown around like nothing
by Nemesis Enforcer.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just starved for moments like that where the guy gets to be a Joe, the Joe that he always was.
Now on the DVD or the Blu-ray version that was re-released, one of the things I always noticed about at least the cut I'm watching is that there are very obvious commercial break moments. Yeah. Did they edit those out of the 4K or the Blu-ray release?
No, it still fades
They're
to
still
black.
There?
Yeah. I think that might have it might seem like a commercial break moment, but I think that was just a scene transition.
Okay.
So that was probably going to be in there even in the theatrical version if it had made it to the theater. They do that in Transformers too.
I guess so, yeah.
They'll fade to black from bad guys to the good guys. Really weird filter on this scene. Like everything is all...
Yeah.
It's like when they shoot women on Star Trek TOS. It's all glowy.
Light glowy.
I guess.
Do the old KY jelly on the lens trick.
Yeah, I guess because Cobra Commander's so gorgeous that they...
Yeah.
Oh, hello, gorgeous.
Yes.
Oh, that's nasty. That's
so bad.
Oh, it's disgusting. And his hand is all like he's got 3 claws now. Yuck. Ugh.
Does he have any legs, or are his legs fused together now? Oh no, he's got 2 feet.
He's got 2 little dangling feet, and it's fitting that Roadblock can't see while this is happening to him, so he's spared even though we are not. That's interesting. The base, I just noticed it had like jet parts to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at all the plates. Going through like a week's worth of food.
I love it though, man. It's got the wood fireplace. And such a cool base. I love it.
Stone. I really like that Slaughter. They're almost treating his character like a new character in this movie.
Yeah.
Even though he had been around the entire previous year, he's got this shine on him again that a lot of the other characters don't have anymore.
Yeah.
He's one of the stars of the movie. He was in the opening credits. He's so military. Like, even though he's the wrestler, he comes off as so genuine military. And that's Sarge's real military history. Real Marine. Horoscope.
And a classic Baroness scene right here, in my opinion.
Yeah,
She's always running away in disguise to laugh, like, ha ha ha.
fixing her hair. Yeah.
Yep.
She cleared that fence, no problem, in
I know.
high heels.
Oh.
I love that whole Larry Hama kind of description of her as being like kind of the Patty Hearst type. You know,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know about the whole no weapons aspect of this. I know it's a kids toy, toy line cartoon, and anytime they could get around not using weapons, that's a little less heat on them from the parent groups. But invading the Cobra headquarters, those are weird symbols. They're like Star Wars.
They did look like Star Wars
language symbols. But going in there with no weapons is just not consistent again. It's especially tough if you've read the comic.
Yeah.
And then you see this stuff and then you're like, you can see why Larry Hama never watched a single episode of the cartoon.
Well, the comic I recall is I want to say I read more of the comic I think than I watched the show when I was a kid. It had such a more decidedly mature tone everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't afraid to kill Joes off too, and there was that one episode where they killed a bunch off because of a misunderstanding. They weren't even like brutally executed. There was a misunderstanding where I think it was Cobra Commander tells whoever is holding the Joes, get rid of them. And so the Cobras are like, well, he said get rid of them. Oh my God. Well, do you know what that means? Like, I guess we need to shoot them. And then when Cobra Commander finds out, what? You shot them? I said get rid of them, not kill them. Like, it was just basically a big misunderstanding.
Well, here they get the weapons at least.
Oh, okay.
They stole the Vipers.
Well, it was procure on site, right?
Yep.
And wow, are they ever?
Yeah.
I think they got them all. They got like 4 on them each. Look at all. I've never noticed they're all strapped to their backs. They've each got like 4 on their backs. Oh, great shot.
Cobra microphone. Now that.
That's product placement right there. That's very, very, very specific design. Deliberate.
Coca-Cola.
You know, it does make you wonder, though. I mean, here, what, 5 guys break into Cobra headquarters and Terradrome and basically lay waste. That's like, what was stopping the Joes this whole time?
Yeah. True. There's a.
Oh, that was a snake.
Yeah, it kind of looked like a souped up snake in the back.
Yeah.
Just literally blink and you miss it. It was like 3 frames, but yeah, seeing all sorts of new stuff. That's the advantage of Blu-ray. With everything more in focus, you get to just see background stuff more. This guy is just destroying everything he shoots with one shot. He's like long shot. Or who was the X-Man with perfect aim? I can't remember now.
The X-Men? I know Bullseye.
Bullseye, yeah, he's like Bullseye.
But
a Marvel
that's
character.
not an X-Men.
Yeah, a Marvel character. He's getting slapped around. Again, if he had been punched, it would make him seem a little tougher. Like, whoa, he's taking a beating. But he's getting slapped around, and he's bleeding from being slapped around.
And like almost passing out. He can't even hold himself up.
I can't take many more of these slaps. It's really easy to just rag on this guy.
Yes.
Like, all these little things. It makes you wonder if it's intentional. Like, what do they have against Falcon?
Yeah, really.
He throws him like a piece of garbage.
Yeah, and then he's out. And poor Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah. The hell is that thing?
Slaughter's taking the punches. I like Mercer, even though he didn't get much to do. He was a really cool character.
I love the Renegades. It's a really cool sub team of G.I. Joe.
Yeah, like because most Joes are so and they're military, they're professional.
Yeah.
They have tact, and the Renegades are just so rough around the edges.
I think it's going into that whole, contrasting sort of, if you have the Dreadnoks and the Joes have the Renegades and
And with like Red Bull and Taurus are definitely rough around the edges. Mercer is a military guy, but basically he is a traitor. So it's cool that he left Cobra and joined the Joes, but that still makes him a traitor, which in one aspect he's not loyal. Like he changed his loyalty. So that's another like outcast aspect of his character that doesn't let him really fit in with all the other Joes.
Sort of like in anybody see Inglourious Bastards with the I forget what the character's name was, but he was the German soldier that switched sides. Yeah. I remember there was I think it was Ironhide was on one of his either character descriptions or something. I can't remember where it was. They said like Ironhide could have been a Decepticon if he, if somebody else would have gotten to him first and everything. And it kind of makes you wonder with some of the Renegades. It's like, are these characters that could have gone Cobra if they didn't go Joe, Yeah.
That's a good point. I could see any of those Renegades as a Cobra, and I guess Mercer proves that because he was a Cobra.
Yeah,
exactly.
But Red Dog and Taurus would fit perfectly with the Dreadnoks. Maybe not in Cobra.
Weird planes have ever been produced? The ones that are shooting like octopus?
No, they didn't.
I don't think so.
They never made any of the Cobra-la-la vehicles or beasts, whatever you want to call them.
Thank God.
I don't know. There's people who bought not just the original Battle Force 2000, but the modern Club Battle Force 2000 stuff. So those Joe fans will buy anything.
I know. Actually, I'm in this movie. I'm seeing a lot of vehicles that I've never seen in the TV show.
Yeah. Can you imagine if
that I had?
If HasLab did one of these giant Cobra-la weird monster
bird things,
monster vehicles?
Oh.
There's these guys that they do like custom stuff, but really vintage feeling, like I don't know, Star Wars stuff, but with the vintage packaging and all that stuff. And they are doing like a Cobra base playset. I don't know if you see that.
No.
It's amazing because it's quite taken out from the cartoons, but with the old toys aesthetics and even the box that they have designed. I'm gonna send you a link so you can see because it's awesome.
Nice.
Chuckles is on the helicopter because I guess he had to get it started by.
He hand props in helicopter.
Yeah, it's super strong. Wow.
I guess that's another argument against the Snake Eyes is Chuckles idea, since Snake Eyes is already
that's Grunt.
Disposed of via. Oh, is it Grunt?
Yeah.
It's Grunt Snake Eyes.
It's Grunt in the Snake Eyes outfit.
I'm just pushing for Grunt to get some love. That's all.
I'll go with that. We can go.
Maybe it's Grand Slam because we never did see Grand Slam in the cartoon.
Oh, you're right.
It's Grand Slam.
It's Grand Slam. Yep. Yeah.
He does look exactly like Snake Eyes in the comic, though. There's Hawk in a Conquest.
Yeah.
He's on the battlefield.
And there it is. Cobra-la-la-la-la-la.
Oh, that battle cry. It's too much for me. Like there are episodes that have like one eye rolling moment. But this has like many.
Yes.
Just nonstop groaners. There's Scarlet. Oh,
It's here once, and that's it.
I wonder if I can share it with. Oh yeah, here. Okay, that's a picture of the box set of the art that they're gonna use, and this is the website.
Oh wow.
The Fans Strikes Back. That's the name of the.
so we've watched this show for years, and Cobra's never been able to do anything like this. And then they hook up with these
Right.
Cobra-la guys, and just because they got a bunch of weird giant worms and bugs, like they and just to illustrate the point I'm making here, the Dreadnoks can't get through this. Nemesis
Yeah.
Enforcer, no problem. Here, they're what's the term? Mary Sue, Gary Stu, like they just waltz in. Duke's gonna show him what's what. He's picking up some bad habits from Chuckles. Just lift the heavy artillery off of the vehicle. He had to two-hand it though. Man, they just laid to waste the whole Joe headquarters.
Yep. All right, renegades on the bikes.
There's what's that thing called? The Slam or whatever?
The Triple
T.
The Triple T, yeah.
The Tag Team Terminator. Really awkward looking tank.
It is bizarre.
Oh
God, stop.
with a mortar. Like, it's not just that he's doing that, but he's like using a military mortar, like an old-fashioned military mortar, doing the la la la, Cobra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la.
Do a little Christmas remix of.
The snake spear. And here comes the sacrifice.
Bam.
You'd think he'd try to kick it away or bat it away.
You know, the one thing this scene has over Transformers is that it was Duke sacrificing himself, and it wasn't Falcon just getting in the way.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
that is
right.
true.
But you could blame Falcon just as much as people blame Hot Rod, because Duke was throwing himself in front of a guy who's pretty worthless.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you just let the thing hit him? And that's not in Duke's character. That was definitely, it felt like a commercial break there, though, where they faded from the...
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just got some kind of bizarre kind of transitions from one scene to another that I always just figured they'd edit it with the idea that it was going to be 5 TV episodes and not
Yeah. Having seen that, I think this is more of the 5-parter stuck together than the original movie cut before it got chopped up. Be a credit.
So this movie was out after the Transformers movie, right?
1 year later.
Okay.
And Duke
So
has
they
tragically
learned from their
slipped into a coma.
There it is. He's in a coma.
Don't kill the good guy.
He's not breathing. He's not moving. I guess we never see people breathe on cartoons, though.
Good point.
Yeah, and everybody and their brother knows that in that scene, Duke was supposed to die, and they changed it afterwards with the backlash of the Optimus Prime death.
Yeah.
To just have him. And that was the right call, in my opinion. I didn't want them to kill Duke off.
No. They didn't need to kill Duke off.
No.
There's no need.
They could have crippled him.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that would have been even worse if Serpentor had crippled him and it's Falcon's fault, or it was a sacrifice to save Falcon. That's just as effective without actually killing a guy.
Yeah.
The time worm. That's how we tell time. The time worm.
The time worm.
They have they do have scientists, and they were able to come up with these spore things, and they're going to shoot them into space somehow. but they don't have a watch.
Yeah.
Hey, Time Warp's just cooler, man.
It is.
Some people like vinyl. What can you say?
Oh, that's cool. He's got a shotgun that the figure has. Usually the Joes all have that standard laser gun, like the one that Snow Job came with. But Falcon's actually got a shotgun, like the figure. He doesn't actually use it in the movie, does he? Maybe once or twice.
No, I don't think so.
I think he does fire off a round, like in the fight with Serpentor, maybe, but he misses. How do you miss with a shotgun? There's another. There's another reason he just.
Ask Dick Cheney.
Snake.
Oh, dude.
He's wrapped all around him, keeping him warm. It's gross. And he's crazy. He's gone crazy, and he's driving roadblock crazy.
Really a giant lizard.
Well, he does get some redemption in the Operation Dragonfire 5-parter when Deke picked up the series after this. He's restored to humanoid form. And he gets his revenge on Serpentor. There's a snowcat!
There's the snowcat.
There it is.
And Flint, who this is pretty much all he does in the movie, stands next to a snowcat. I don't know if I would have left Falcon at the base.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have trusted him. I feel a little safer if he's in the barracks.
Probably leave the coffee maker on or something.
Yeah. So the first group of Joes wiped out like nothing. And then this rescuing party going to be wiped out like nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those eyes are freaky.
Yeah.
Working the rhyme in there still.
Yep.
It's those vines again. Those are trouble.
You know, that's not the first time they've dealt with vines, the Joes. What?
There was in the initial five parts of the first series where they were like tube worms, right?
Right.
Well, no, not the tube worms. The those little vines that Destro made, and he added something, and they got and Flint and Roadblock.
Oh yeah.
And Mutt were all trapped down in this little pit of vines that they couldn't escape from, and
that's right before they met Shipwreck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and they used the jets from the Sky Strikers to dry them up.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that whoever was doing these, I think they had some sort of similar fetish or something. Because even in Transformers the movie, there's the scene where the, Cup and Hot Rod are chased by those little something about vines strangling everybody. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, side door on the Tomahawk. That's handy.
Oh yeah.
Never
Tomahawk.
did that. Never had that on
Tomahawk
the toy.
I've loved. That was, I think, my very last favorite G.I. Joe toy, like vehicle I think that I ever had was the Tomahawk.
It does feel like it was the last hurrah for realistic military vehicles in G.I. Joe. After that, it was like Havoc and more sci-fi aspect. And this is just the saddest end for Cobra Commander. He's not even talking anymore. He's just a snake. It's just awful. Awful. One of the most fun, absurd, ridiculous characters just pathetically slithers away.
Well, he does get one more last hurrah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he comes in and saves Falcon.
Yeah, he does get one more line. Was a man.
I took care of those dreadnoughts pretty easy.
Yeah. They sort of flounder. Oh.
You need binocs for that. They're shooting at you. Wait, something's not right here.
Yeah.
I love Big Lob's rap while he's like in the thick of things. The commentary.
Yeah.
Play by play, still going.
All right.
What? Did I miss that Scarlet was wrapped up in one of those?
Hey,
All of a sudden,
that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, she
Yeah.
was back at the headquarters. Maybe that was CoverGirl.
Oh, maybe.
I mean, it looked like Scarlet. I think it was an animation error, but let's say it was CoverGirl. Yeah, it is Scarlet.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Did she? Well, she was.
She was there holding Duke the last time we saw her.
Well, they left though.
Right.
So she was part of the second batch that got captured.
I guess I just missed that where she was.
With Flint, right?
Yeah.
I love that it devolves just into a big brawl.
And Hawk has like a weird mutant dude in a headlock. Like the general is pounding on people. That's great.
There's Cover Commander.
Yeah, he's following them. I'm a G.I. Joe now. Better benefits. So we're near the end here, coming close to the climax, and he awakens these things that we don't know about, don't know what they are, but they're supposed to be a big threat now. You just can't introduce things out of the blue.
I know.
And go, well, this is dangerous. This is high drama, high tension. Just having literally things pop up out of the ground. This is freaky though. This bridge.
This one.
Yeah.
This one freaked me out. It's like a giant walking stick.
Yep.
Ugh.
Oh, Tunnel Rat.
Another Inhumanoids moment here with Tunnel Rat figuring out a way. I don't know why it bites into the roaches before he gets out of it. Oh, it's gross. And he's not just that he blasts his way out, but he's giggling as he does it. Yep. So Falcon's got just a regular Joe laser there.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has his shotgun near the end, though. Overthinking this. Sunbow didn't put that much thought into it. It is so Inhumanoids.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been cool if the Earth Corps shows up in the armor and helps them fight off these giant monsters with some of their what the good guys and the Inhumanoids, the good monsters called? I forget what they were. The elementals or something.
Mutors.
Mutors, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the
good way to turn that, yeah.
The Redwoods and the Granics or the Granites.
Yeah.
Rock people.
And one of the Earth Corps was supposed to be like a former Joe, right?
Later on in the series, yeah, his name was Armbruster, which was Ace's.
Ace.
Yeah. He had Ace's first and last name. I can't remember if it was Brad Armbruster, but Brewster. But yeah, Saberjet, I think was his name.
Yeah.
Had Ace's file name. So there's a Falcon has the shotgun.
You're right, he did.
He must have got it from someone else. I don't know, or pulled it out of his backpack. It's weird. He's wearing his backpack with the antenna that the figure has here. Which I don't know if he's had it for the rest of the movie.
I don't think he had it at all in the movie.
They got a call from Hasbro. You better include the backpack and shotgun. We've got a really cool figure here. We just finalized the design. Yeah, so they pair off a little bit here. Cool rack focus there.
Yeah.
I love when they do techniques like that. Even if it's animation, they still pretend they're working with a real movie camera.
Yes.
He just puts the brakes on and off goes Don. It would have been cool if Falcon's file name was Donald Johnson.
or John Donson.
Yeah, there you go.
John Donson. I probably hadn't cast him when they designed the file card, but that would have been amazing. That's a cool aspect of the character. Like, I'm putting the blindfold on. Now you're in trouble.
Yeah.
It makes it might be hokey, but when you think of, if you've read about the Blind Master in the comics, then yeah, it does make her seem very dangerous. Oh, he's still got all the eyes. He's even a creepy looking snake. There's a shotty.
And there's a shotgun again.
And he misses. Who can't hit something with a shotgun? I guess it's a laser gun though.
Yeah. For that matter, when the shotguns shoot lasers, right?
Yeah. So this guy can shoot beams out of his hands now. Reminds me a lot of Captain Marvel. He can just do whatever he needs to do in whatever situation calls for it.
Yeah.
Except tell time. He needs the time worm for that.
Needs that time worm.
This is great. The beating Sarge puts on this guy.
Oh, totally.
Oh, you don't see this happen to the new characters. I'm surprised that Nemesis Enforcer takes such a whooping from this guy, especially from an 86 figure. That's cool. Oh, great parting shot. Yeah, I'm so glad that Sarge didn't really sustain any damage in this movie in terms of diminishing his character, his abilities. He's at an all-time high. The cape in the motor. That's all it took.
Yeah.
That's
I knew this was a bad idea.
I knew I should have had a shorter cape like Lando Calrissian. And off he goes, never to be seen again in the movie. Like,
We don't even know what happens to him.
he gets turned into an iguana in the Operation Dragonfire.
That's right.
But yeah, sad end for Serpentor in this movie. So it's not just what happens to Cobra Commander and some of the Joes, but like, sad end for Serpentor. And I just don't buy Falcon being able to fight this guy.
I know.
Like, this is Gary Stu stuff going on here. Like, this guy should not be able to do any of this stuff.
No.
But we're kind of being force fed. You know, this is your big Poochie.
Yep. No, not the time worm.
They can't show it, but they can allude to what just happened. Ugh. Gnarly. Yuck. That eye got stabbed. Cool little twist here with shutting the BET down, and it's not actually... that doesn't save the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Now what do you do? And the bugger gets away. Never to be seen again. Seems to be a recurring theme here.
Now I'm going to a vacation in Bermuda. Forever.
It's a clever idea, using the thing that matured the spores to fry them.
Right.
Military credo. Takes his backpack off. Just noticed that.
Oh, yeah.
Guess they got sick of animating it. Didn't even need it. But cool if you're a fan of the figure to actually see all of his accessories there.
Yeah.
because it's partly about toys. It's not all about toys, but it's partly about toys.
I noticed that. Yeah, they try to give every Joe at least their one scene. I noticed. I think Sci-Fi, one of my personal favorite figures, was in there for one very small scene.
Yep.
Yeah. And Lady J tripped up there. We just saw, and Flint helps her up. I don't think you'd be.
There's Rakondo.
Oh yeah. I don't think
Rakondo was there for just a second.
Yeah, shielding his eyes.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Breaker was running away in one scene.
I don't think you'd be seeing Lady J falling and being helped up by Flint these days, just because of the whole,
It'd probably be the opposite. Flint would fall, and Lady J would pick him up.
Yeah, or she'd berate him.
Yeah.
Duke's gonna be okay. Let's talk about a throwaway line. Best news ever. Man, when you just don't connect with the character and they end the movie with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not bad as an episode. Like if it was an episode of Joe, it's fine because they had plenty of sci-fi episodes.
3-parter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they fought weird Egyptian gods and stuff like that in the series, so it wouldn't have been that much of a stretch. But
exactly, they went to space. They fought big fluffies, fatal fluffies.
The fluffies.
So it wasn't that far-fetched compared to what we had seen before. Just as far as being the benchmark, and it does get compared to the Transformers movie, and it's not. It's just not the Transformers movie. The Transformers movie was like the definitive period for the first 2 years of Transformers and a gateway for the future Transformers. Like, because they did jump 20 years ahead and do the Rodimus era. But this is just like, it feels like a flat ending to the Sunbow run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not fitting to all the stuff we saw before it.
No, not at all.
Well, there's no real. I mean, there's sort of a little bit of a passing of the torch with Falco, but it kind of loses a lot of the meaning that Duke is still alive. You know, it's not really a changing of the guard, if you will. All the original Joes are kind of still there. It just kind of feels like like you said, an extra long episode. It doesn't. There's no really weight to it.
And there's zero resolution with Cobra. I mean, we don't know what's going on with Cobra now. Like,
they're in shambles.
You know, with Transformers, we knew that, we knew what was going to happen. Like the Decepticons were still around and whatnot.
Yeah, they had a new superpowered leader. He just happened to be thrown out into space, but that didn't mean he was dead. I guess that was a recurring thing for them, like because Galvatron just gets tossed out into space.
Yep.
Serpentor flies out into the sky. Yep. Globulus flies out.
Yeah.
Nemesis Enforcer and Pythona get thrown in that pit, but Nemesis Enforcer can fly.
Yeah.
So I don't know why getting thrown in a pit was a big deal for him.
Right.
I don't know. A lot of head scratching moments. So
yes.
Yeah, but it's good to be able to laugh it off instead of lament it.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like something that's been sort of re-edited too. I know that supposedly this was done at more or less the same time as the Transformers movie was being done, so you can kind of see some, I don't know if you'd say crossover or parallels or something. It's kind of really easy to compare it to because really, if you look at it, the storyline's very similar. I mean, it's the big new bad guy, the new misfit comes in, character arc. They save the day at the end, and then it kind of transitions to the new thing, and I think it feels like something that they changed at the last minute to try to differentiate it a little bit more, or back off where they felt they'd done wrong with Transformers in the movie. I don't know. It's a very bizarre sort of vibe this thing has.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just had a thought while you were saying that. the new Misfit comes in Transformers, but I think what made him more bearable was that he had Cup with him the whole time, almost the whole time.
Yeah.
Almost the whole time. And so you got this young turbo rotten young punk, but he's got Cup who's saying, respect and experience, lad. And it's kind of like an old soldier mentoring a new soldier.
Yeah. You're right.
And Falcon didn't have that in this movie. If he was paired up with, I don't know what old Joe you want to pair him up with, like maybe Duke or maybe Hawk. Hawk would have been even better.
Yeah.
Like his scenes with Slaughter don't really have that Cup Hot Rod dynamic because Slaughter is not mentoring him; he's destroying him. He's breaking him down and building him back up. But it's not like a grandfatherly relationship that Cup and Hot Rod had. So I think that's what didn't help Falcon in this case. He just didn't have that mentor to guide him. Everyone was dressing him down, and then he's paired up with Jinx in this really, flat. They tried to recreate Duke and Scarlet and Flint and Lady J, and Falcon and Jinx just don't have that dynamic.
Nope.
Well, I think the Cup brings that experience factor, and he tells the old war stories while they're talking, and I think that was part of the brilliance of that. Then when they see Unicron and the Hot Rod's like, well, what does this remind you of? And he's like, nothing.
Yeah. This is a new one. I'll be talking about this one for years. You'll never hear the end of this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Hot Rod had all that respect for Cup, and he wasn't like bucking the ranks and like Falcon. Falcon is just
Hot Rod.
He's just a hothead.
Yeah, Hot Rod, for all the flack he gets for causing Prime's death, a lot of people blame Hot Rod. I've never blamed Hot Rod.
I don't see that.
Megatron was going to he was going to shoot Prime whether Hot Rod was there or not. Prime was getting blasted. I mean, one way or another, he was getting blasted. Maybe he'd blast Megatron too, and it would have been a double death. But he wasn't getting out of that. Like, I don't think Prime was going to be able to dodge a bolt there or anything like that. But Hot Rod tried to save Prime. He risked his life to try to save his leader because he loved his leader. You don't see any love from Falcon in this movie.
No.
And also, Hot Rod keeps doing it. Like, he risks himself to save Cup, and he risks himself to save everybody. And Falcon is just this punk who's like, everybody better respect me. I'm a lieutenant. It's just this officer a-hole. That should have been his code name.
Disrespectful, misogynist, and egotistical. It's all everyone's favorite three combination of traits, right?
And it blows my mind that he's an officer, a lieutenant.
Yeah.
Because we hadn't had a lieutenant in G.I. Joe, really. I don't think up to that point. We had a colonel with Hawk in the first year, First Sergeant Duke, and Warrant Officer Flint, and then I think Beachhead was another sergeant. But lieutenant should have been a big deal. Like, he should have come in ahead of, I guess, you make him ahead of Flint and Duke, and you have Hawk introduce him and say, look, this is Lieutenant Falcon. He's a legend. This guy, like, you all have heard of him, and we're honored to have him be a Joe. Make him a little older, but he just should have been a huge deal instead of, how did this guy ever make lieutenant?
Yep.
Well, I think this thing is they had a chance to make him, say, if he was a little more of a lone wolf kind of guy or something like that. That it was like hey, I'm here and I'm I'm a big tough guy, whatever. But not just make him outright douche. Make him to where part of his character arc is just learning how to work with a team, and not necessarily overcoming these highly flawed character traits.
Yeah, we talked about it on our roundtable when we did the G.I. Joe special. A few weeks ago, and he's kind of part of that whole extreme movement of the late 80s, early 90s. Extreme. He's the extreme Joe, and just clashes so badly with all the other Joes. Like, he makes Shipwreck look buttoned up, got his act together. He makes Shipwreck look like he's got his act together. That says it all.
That says
There
it
you go.
all.
And he's
Absolutely.
not funny. Like, at least if Falcon was funny,
Yeah.
it would, like Shipwreck, it would be, forgivable. But I personally don't find him funny.
No, he's offensive. I mean, and I'm not saying that just because of the era we live in. Like, he's literally just an offensive person.
Yeah, and it doesn't take.
I mean,
It doesn't take much, but he sure does a lot. Like, it would be a few things that you could point to say, there, that's why I don't like his character. But it seems
Yeah.
like he does something every 2 minutes. And
that's right.
It just never ends with the dude
Exactly.
until the last 5 minutes of the movie, when he's Superman. He's selfless, and he can do everything, and we're supposed to basically ignore everything we've seen before that and go, my hero.
Yep.
Well, there's that old thing about you don't gain sympathy for a character when they're rewarded for the wrongs they do. You get sympathy when they're rewarded for what they do right and what they do that's heroic. And really, up until the end, there's not really much he does that's very redeemable. It's like, okay, so after his half brother's death, he decides, oh, okay, I've done all this terrible stuff and I'm going to become the model soldier. Well, it just doesn't work like that, because he's done nothing else the entire movie that makes you think he's worthy of any of that.
That's right.
And he literally, after that scene, after he's been grounded, you stay here, he says, well, let's jump in a chopper and go save the day. And they do.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why he does. It makes me really think about Rey in the new Star Wars movies. Like, why does he show up and save the day at the end, other than because they wanted him to, like the writers wanted him to?
It's really too bad that they didn't rewrite it just a little bit more and have it to where, hey, the cure to what will bring Duke out of a coma is this thing they've got, the spore or chemical or whatever, and we need to go and get it. That's like would galvanize him and give him the reason that he would need to go do that and be heroic and save his brother and something like that.
I like that. If the snake that pierced Duke, instead of being a snake that Serpentor pulled off of him, if Serpentor pulled some kind of rod barb out of a bag and it's a Cobra-la-la weapon, and instead of a coma, Duke's been poisoned.
Yeah.
So now they have to cure Duke. So it's not just we got to go fry the spores and save humanity, but we got to go save Duke instead of just killing him off. Like, he's poisoned. He's turning into Duke wouldn't turn into a snake, though. I think he'd turn into a bald eagle.
Sprouting feathers.
Yeah, like on the Muppet Show. Sam. He turned into Sam from the Muppet Show.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. I mean, it's just takes such a simple rewrite, and I'm always curious. It's like seeing insights into how they do animated features and everything like that is always different, because generally they'll edit storyboards and have the whole movie basically done and voice and everything before they're even finishing animation, because if they're finishing animation they don't end up using, it's a big waste of money. And it makes me wonder how far in it was, and when they made some of these choices, if they just had to kind of say, oh, we'd love to do this, but there's no footage. We don't have any budget to make any more. So what can we do? We can add a line in here and there. Maybe that's the whole, like, Duke's out of his coma.
Yay!
Everything's okay.
Yay!
Yeah. They couldn't really have him on crutches, like walking up to them at the end, coming out of a Mobat.
Do it Clutch Cargo style, where they're just animating some mouths onto stills.
Oh yeah. Well,
that's great.
that is G.I. Joe the movie, and I mentioned Buzz Dixon earlier, and I don't think it's available on Amazon anymore, but it used to be a story written by Buzz Dixon called The Most Dangerous Man in the World, and that was back when they had Kindle Worlds where you could write your own fan fiction, and you could actually have it published on Amazon.
Oh, wow.
So Buzz wrote his own story, and it was his version of the continuation of G.I. Joe. So it ignored this movie, and it was about the guy who started Cobra. So if the G.I. Joe movie, if you love it, then I'm I'm sorry if we brought you down for an hour and a half here. But if you're like us, and it's got its positives, but it's also got a lot of stuff to try to look past. I don't know where you can get that story by Buzz, but I read it and I loved it. It was very satisfying. It was an alternate take on how Cobra started. It wasn't started by weird mutants from the Earth's core or wherever they're from. It was started by a guy who came up with this philosophy of Cobra, and he was imprisoned by Cobra Commander. So Cobra Commander took over the whole thing using his philosophy, and kept this guy under lock and key. And it's all about he escapes, and the Cobras want him back because they know how dangerous he is, and the Joes need him because they know how dangerous he is. So it was a very interesting story. I think it would have made a great storyline for this movie, the G.I. Joe theatrical movie. And
perfect storyline.
And if you
can say, it sounds like it would make a good feature.
Yes.
It sounds like what Rise of Cobra should have been.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you can find it anywhere, I highly recommend tracking that down and giving it a read, because it is pure G.I. Joe. It feels just like the Sunbow animated series, because it's written by one of the guys who gave life to quite a bit of great Sunbow G.I. Joe animated series. And I always, Buzz has his own idea, obviously, of what the most dangerous man in the world looks like. And he had him kind of like a more unassuming looking character, like a kind of portly, big Coke bottle glasses type of thing. But when I was reading the story, I pictured that character that everyone is after as there's a Cobra named Overlord from the later years of G.I. Joe. So he came with a vehicle, listen to this name, the Dictator. It's one of those little mini vehicles, and this character, kind of mysterious looking. He had a mask and claws, and he was brought in as yet another leader of Cobra. But I always pictured that story by Buzz to be about that particular figure. So whenever I see that figure on my shelf, I think of that story by Buzz. And it just kind of makes me think of an alternate reality where we got the most dangerous man in the world for the 87 G.I. Joe movie instead of Cobra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la.
The unintentional. Oh, whoops. No, wait. I didn't mean that.
Slip of the tongue.
Yeah, I guess I just think that maybe G.I. Joe Resolute is.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. That is such a great animated show. Wow.
It is. And it's almost like when I think about it, maybe Hasbro was apologizing to us because it's clearly written to our generation.
And I'm glad you bring it up, because that should be our next cartoon commentary.
Yes, I agree.
I think that would be
a great follow-up.
Awesome follow-up to this one, because Resolute is just awesome. Loved it so much.
I was amazed how much it was just. I swear that movie was written for us, for this generation. Yeah. Because it was the original Joes, and yet it was grown up, and they all looked a little bit older, and it was almost like an apology film. To me, is how I see it now. Like, we're sorry that G.I. Joe the movie was so terrible. So here's Resolute. Enjoy.
And it was a little grown up. It wasn't like overboard, R-rated or X-rated. Just a little bit, just enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be a fun one to look at.
Cool. Yep. Well, I'll see if I can order that one. That would be a fun. That's one I don't think I think I've seen parts of that. I think I've seen the clips on YouTube, never the whole thing. So that'd be a new one for me as well.
Start to finish, that movie is just excellent.
Yeah, I love it. And it's only about an hour long, too. So it doesn't even drag. Yeah, I haven't seen it in years, so I'm looking forward to checking that one out again. All right, gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight. Is there anything else we should say here before we wrap up here?
I just realized that my mic was mute.
Oh! No worries.
I said they are ignoring me.
Maybe to wrap up here, let's just, so that this isn't a complete, crap on the G.I. Joe movie fest. Let's just close with our favorite parts of the movie. So, Eric, what'd you like the most about this movie?
Oh wow! Well, I mean, obviously, other than the intro, the style they gave the Cobra-la stuff, as much as it doesn't really fit with the rest of G.I. Joe, I think it was a brave design choice to introduce something completely different. It's a shame they didn't really bring it back to Inhumanoids or something that was a little familiar, fit something else in. But I think that juxtaposition, if I can say that word right now, was a brave design choice to make, I think.
Yeah. Joseph.
For me, it was the Renegades all the way. I think that they were a perfect introduction, and they had their own little subplot that was, to me, it was dramatic and really good, and they were well developed as for being introduced in this movie. And I think the Renegades were excellent. I love it. It's my favorite part of the whole film.
Yeah. And Fun Toys fan.
Yeah, you're never gonna say my name correctly. I know, so it's better this way.
I got it right once, I think, but it took me like 4 tries. What is it again?
Facundo.
Yeah,
that's right.
What's your favorite part of the movie?
I always liked the G.I. Joe was way better animated than, for example, Transformers. They have more, I don't know, like they took time to draw the cartoon. And I think in the movie it's even better. And I agree with what was said first about the design of the evil guys, and the story is crap, but the overall, but the design of the characters, I like it in that point of view, in that perspective. Like they're different. They are, I don't know, they are bold in design, like with the armors, and I like that. And I like that I got to see a lot of toys that I had that I never saw in the cartoons.
Yeah. And my favorite part of the movie is it's got to be a tie between that intro and the Renegades. So it's always fun seeing that stuff. And I think I might just pop this in again soon, not wait a year or two to watch it again, but just to watch the intro, because that is such a blast.
It is.
It's if I'm looking for the coda, the swan song of the G.I. Joe Sunbow run, it's that animated intro on the Statue of Liberty.
Absolutely.
So that
masterpiece.
Yeah. So if the G.I. Joe movie isn't your cup of tea, then maybe you should just shut it off after 2 minutes and probably feel very, very satisfied.
And the rest doesn't exist, and nobody will know.
Yeah.
The Resolute one is the one that it's like anime style, right?
Yeah.
I have that one. That was cool.
Yeah, that's the one we're going to be doing for our next commentary. I think that'll be a great follow-up to this one, because that'll just be an hour of gushing about so great, so awesome.
Yep. It will be.
Yeah, and I haven't seen that one in a couple of years now, so looking forward to revisiting that one too on one of these roundtables.
Cool.
So once again, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. It's been a blast watching this. A lot more enjoyable than if I was sitting by myself and just kind of shaking my head and holding my Falcon figure and not going, what went wrong here?
Always fun doing these MST 3K style. So
yeah, love it.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Great time.
You. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
And thanks everyone out there for listening along. And until next time, Nerdmas Day.
Nerdmas Day.
Nerdmas Day.